Going. Hey, what's up, everybody? Today I have a special guest, my buddy Shane at Super JDM Diecast. If you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, he's just starting out, like the rest of us. He's gonna grow. So check his YouTube channel. I'll put a link in here, or he can post one in the chat. I'll try to find it here while we're on here. And he's also on Instagram as well. So check him out there. But I just really wanted to have Shane on because his love for JDM, his JDM, like it's in the name. So Super JDM Diecast. And I know that he's had some cool cars. He's been like you were stationed over in Japan, weren't you?
Yeah, I
Or you
was there
were
for almost 2 years.
Yeah, so tell me about I always love hearing about Japan because I've never been. So tell me about did you get to check out the car scene over there at all? And what was that like?
Yeah, so in my much younger years, back in the day, which was a Wednesday, by the way, as we all know,
Yeah.
uh, I was stationed in Japan with the U.S. Navy on the now decommissioned aircraft carrier USS Kitty Hawk.
Okay,
And
cool.
yeah, I definitely got into the car scene. I That's really where I got my affinity for JDM cars. And so Um, as I got there, I'm a poor sailor, not making a lot of money, and I found out about a network where you can go and buy cars from sailors that are transferring out of Japan back to the US. So I
Oh.
went to a parking lot where it was like going to a hot import nights car show of cars for sale.
Yeah, very
So
familiar.
yeah, so I took my $3,000 budget and walked around the parking lot, and I found my dream car, and it was a beautiful S14 Sylvia.
Ooh, nice.
Um, $2,600 later, I drove away with my first ever right side drive car. I pulled out of the parking lot on the wrong side of the road. Um, and so, yeah, that's where it all started. That's where the love kicked in, and I'll tell you, ever since then, it's been a passion. So I loved being there. The people of Japan, if you guys have ever been to Japan or wanted to travel to Japan, it's an amazing country, good people, good food, tough language to learn. But I'll tell you, it's where to be. So yeah, that's where it started.
That's awesome. Do you know any Japanese or do you, like, speak it pretty decently or
Uh,
a little
I
bit?
I would say that I used to small bits and pieces enough to be conversational or to ask where the bathroom was or perhaps which train to take. Um, in Japan, driving on their highways isn't what you see in Tokyo Drift. You don't just jump on and have 3 or 4 cars and you're cruising around. And
Doing a buck
it's
50 down the highway.
yeah, it's they're all toll roads and it's jam packed. So you're not doing a buck 80 kilometers down the road. You might be doing 18 kilometers down the road trying to inch
Yeah.
along. So everybody uses
It's
public
like
transportation, but we would hop on the main road, and cruise between where I was stationed in Yokosuka, up to Yokohama and Tokyo. So that's where the scene was really at, was Yokohama. That's where the big boys and the big the drift roads and all of that fun stuff were at. So
yeah,
yeah,
that's cool, man. Like, I've always really wanted to go over there and check out some of their car shows and their drifting and, just chat with people. They just have, like, the thing I like about, like, JDM and Japanese is the style factor. I mean, I love, muscle cars too, but the amount of detail that goes and the thought that goes into some of these Japanese cars is amazing. It's like truly artwork. And, I'm not taking away from some of the stuff that's not, the old classics I really like, 55 Chevs and some of those big body cars that were truly artwork. But a lot of the new stuff for the US market's kind of, I don't know, kind of boring to me. It doesn't have that same kind of style and so much thought that goes into it. I mean, new Corvette's cool, but it looks like everything else. So it's very cool. I'll give it that. It's very cool, but it doesn't have its own deal. It doesn't have its own deal like the Skyline did, the Sylvia A86, some of those really cool iconic cars. So, yeah, that's why I mean, I've been into JDM as soon as, like, I got my first turbo, car. I think it was a 84, 85, 300ZX. And it had that turbo on it, and I'd never had a turbo car before. And put the blow off valve on there, and you go and sold. It's like, once you have a turbo car, all right, you ain't ever going back. I love V8s too, but turbos, that's where my heart is for sure. So what got you into diecast? When did you start collecting diecast?
So interesting question. So I've been a collector for a long time, and Nas knows this too. But um, I started with GI Joe, and not the
That's right.
dolls, but the
Yeah,
but the
the bigger
smaller the
ones.
action figures from the
Oh, okay, the
'80s,
little
right?
ones.
So the
Okay.
little, kung fu grip and all of that. And
Yeah.
when the pandemic hit, I had a real shift in perspective on life in general and how we were going to do things at home, and just reconnection with family and friends. And I had this weird epiphany that I had way too much stuff and it had to go. So I literally liquidated about 80% of the things that I had. My wife and I took that and we reinvested it into stocks and investing. But I
Good
still
plan.
had that missing piece happening in my life. And so my older son, he's also the JDM collector in the house.
Nice.
He started buying diecast here and there, and he was keeping it in the package, and he started tacking it up on his wall. And I said, I like those. I really think those little tiny cars are super cool. And that's where it really started. So I'd say about the beginning of 2020, we really started getting into diecast, and it's just kind of grown from there slowly but surely. But and it's ironic. So JDM is in the name, but if you look at the whole name, my youngest son Cade, we came up with the name together because he's into supercars. So we wanted
Oh,
to
okay.
somehow combine the name. So hence the name Super JDM Diecast. So he gets a little bit of a little fun play into the name, and I get my affinity and love for JDM in there, and it just all works out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, supers. I mean, everybody loves supercars too. But I was just talking with somebody, one of my buddies, that's a total JDM guy. He's got a ISF, and I'm a former ISF owner. That's what I had before my GTR, and he has a ISF and a GSF, which I love both of those cars. But we were talking about, like, man, if I became like super rich, which I don't really care about, but if I came like millionaire, I wouldn't buy a supercar necessarily. I would have, like, the Hakosuka all the way up to current, for Skylines,
Oh
all the way
yeah.
back. I'd have every single model of them just in the garage. Something like that, that costs, I mean, nowadays, they're going for, there's a train, going for, supercar prices, some of these cars like, R34 V-Spec going for a couple $100,000 easy, for, like, the rare ones or Midnight Purple. So yeah, JDM is where my heart's at. But of course, I was just thinking about, like, my first car was like a muscle car. It was a 1980 Chevy Malibu. Just a big body. It just looks like an old man car, but you could put whatever you want under the hood. And that's like the first car that really got me into being a mechanic and loving, like, modifying cars, putting a sound system in it, putting a big, or not a big block, but it had a V6, put a V8 in there, Flow Masters, just that I was just getting some of that nostalgia yesterday about, like, what it sounded like, what it smelled like to drive that car, and, like, how I probably would like to get something like that again just to kinda bring me back to those, muscle car days. But that car had a lot of pain and suffering. It's like it
Yeah.
blew up, the engine blew up on the freeway. The guy that was helping me build it, left, the oil, the oil pressure valve or whatever loose, and it popped off, and I lost all my oil. So that was my first heartbreak for automotive too, because I remember crying. I was like 18 years old, maybe like 17, 18 years old, and man, that broke my heart. Man, just from going to to the top of the world, having this like, you know, really cool V8, this blah 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 Flowmasters, 3-inch Flowmasters, and then just having it blow up in your face, basically. And yeah, so, but you know, life is full of those learning lessons, you know, and it's how you know move on from those that defines who you are, you know. So I just ended up putting another engine in it when I got home from school, mechanic school, and um, then I sold it, and then the guy that bought it blew it up on his way home. He had it in second gear instead of third, and he blew up the engine. Yeah, so yeah, it happens when you drive performance cars. You could blow things up. It's bound to happen. So
No, that's I tell you, I've been a what does he say in Tokyo Drift? I've been a gear nut forever. I started really getting into the engines right around that time that I was in Japan, and so I've had my hands in just about every Japanese motor you can think of: the RB22s, RB26s, RB25s, all the B series,
yeah,
16s, 18s, the K series with the Acuras, of course the SR motors. I've been in those, and I that's what I miss the most. And I know I've hit you up, kind of jokingly, but in a serious manner. My son, my oldest son, he's going to be 15 this year, and we're getting to that point where he's going to start driving. So that's where we're headed. We're going to build one, and
mm,
I think it's going to be an R33 or an R34. That's kind of the road we're headed down. So we're definitely going to be in the market for one of those in the next couple of years. Thankfully, I do have some resources, but I did reach out to you because I know you know some guys who know some guys.
yeah. I know
Um,
some importers for sure.
but yeah, we definitely want to go down that road. And I think that it's going to be a labor of love, as you know. These cars are not easy to source parts for. They're not the easiest cars to work on. Um, but that's part of the love. That's part of getting into them and really getting some time under the hood and enjoying
Yeah.
what you do. So yeah, I can totally I feel that what you're feeling right now. I'm missing that smell of grease under my fingernails and really getting in there and doing what we can do.
Yeah, especially if you've got like your son to work with or somebody that you love to help you out. It's like that's a really it's a really big blessing to be able to have that because not everybody has kids or people that are interested in cars because realistically, I'm the only one in my entire family that's into cars. That's into diecast. I don't know where I got it from. My only speculation is my mom's parent or my mom's dad, my grandpa, which I never met. Um, he was into cars, and so that's the only thing I can think of. Because growing up as a kid, I played with diecast and I loved cars, and but I wasn't a fanatic as a kid because I didn't have anyone around me that really liked cars or the, you know, Hot Wheels and stuff. So I loved playing with my Hot Wheels and stuff. But once I became of age to drive and meeting some kids in high school that were into cars, that was back when Fast and the Furious came out, is when I just like boom, like blew up and I was like, I love cars, you know? And once I was able to drive and, you know, put stereos in the car, put go fast parts in there. I've always been about that. Like more so than looks of the car and all that stuff. I'm just like I just want go fast parts in my car. So I want a bigger engine. I want a bigger turbo. I want like, you know, all that stuff. And I'm still like that today. I have appreciation for like stock cars that, you know, I'd love to have just like a bone stock 510 Datsun 510 that's just like restored and it's just like fun to kick around in just the way it came. But you know, of course, my 510 is like heavily modified, and I'll have a roll cage that goes into it and some more safety measures because it's basically a death trap the way it sits right now because it's just 350 wheel horse and 2,000 pounds, you know. And I just have seat belts that buckle down around your waist right now. So yeah, it's a little it feels a little sketchy, but that car is very raw, and that, I really, like that KA that's in there because it's a truck engine. It came in the truck, the hard bodies and so many different the 240, the US 240. And so it's a torquey engine and it's easy to find parts. You can go to Nissan and buy parts for it and it just I don't know. I just like it more than the SR personally. SR is a little finicky. They've got some oil issues. They've got they don't handle big power. They're not torquey. They're the higher they lack torque. You can get some of those things out of them, but you got to put some serious money into those things to make them like really high horsepower. So I lucked out when I bought my 510. The guy already put a KA in there, and it was wired up poorly. It was a mess, so I just tore it all out, and I had a guy that I know that does wiring come in and wire it up. And it was not running for many years, and it was running in about a weekend or two as soon as I got it because I was like, I'm not messing around. I'm taking all this wiring out and I'm putting like brand new stuff in there standalone. Um, fuel management, the computer system and everything. So it's a it's got a lot of technology in it. Surprisingly, it's all hidden, but it looks fairly stock. It's a sleeper. So, I mean, I love old JDM.
Yeah, no, I definitely was, peanut butter and jelly when I was looking at your 510 pictures. Just it was taking me backwards in time because I know what I've done and I know what I want to do, and, I'm back and forth all the time. One day it's R33, the next day it's a Sylvia, the next day it's a 300 Z Fair Lady.
Mhm.
I'm all over the place, but I know what you're talking about. I want that go fast, that feeling. And I don't care how ugly my car is on the outside as long as I get that performance. So I'm
Yeah.
definitely looking to boost another car before I'm too old to boost anymore. And for sure, I totally get it.
Man, I mean, I know some people that are older and they're still doing the thing. So yeah, don't ever worry about. I mean, as long as you can drive and you've got decent vision and you're healthy, you can keep driving cars. But I've got a buddy that has a Mark IV Supra and a GTR, and he's got a couple other cars too. But he's still out there doing cruises and some drag racing and hitting the track, and he's probably 70, 68, 70 years old. So I think he actually inspired me to go after getting an R35 because when I was in like my young 20s, he was one of the first people to buy a GTR when it just came out. He bought one. I think it was is what year did oh 09, I believe, is when the GTR came out in the states. And so he I ran into him. I heard that he got a GTR. Saw the GTR. I was like, hey, Stu, give me a ride in that thing. Like, please give me a ride in that thing. And he tossed me the keys, and I like caught him, and then I was like, I laughed and I tossed him back because I was like, no, there's no way. Like, yeah, right. So I tossed him back, and he tossed him back. He's like, let's go. He's like, you can drive. I'll ride with you. And it was crazy because no one had driven that car yet. Like, you're talking about, like, executives and, like, people that are testing the car and maybe the owners of the dealership that were selling it, but nobody else drove that car. 'Cause it was like, "This is too fast for everybody. You're not just going on test drives. Show me you've got the money, and then you can drive this car and sign here for the car." So, it was crazy to me that I was driving an R35 when they first came out, so pretty much in my eyes, like, as far as I know, one of the first people driving the car because there's really no one driving those cars except for the owners and, some of the, like, the dealership owners and stuff like that, and people that work for Nissan. So I drove it, got on it a little bit. It had 700 miles on it when I was driving it. So he's like, don't go crazy because it's still breaking in. And so I was able to just get on it a little bit. But that really, I was like, I will own this car someday, like whatever it takes, So I really appreciate when people do that kind of stuff because it's not only like that, it comes into the diecast world because in my eyes, cars are the diecast world. Because if you don't love cars, you really don't love diecast because you gotta love them both. Because like, that's why I love diecast so much because I love cars so much. But when somebody goes out of their way to help someone that's like into cars and their love for cars, that really inspires them to go do things. So, if you've got a nice car, if you've got the time to help somebody out or a younger kid to spend some time with them and show them your diecast collection or give them a ride in your car, do it because there's a lot of people that don't do that stuff. That say, "No, you don't even touch the car. Don't look at it. I don't have time for this." So yeah, it means a lot. It meant a lot to me for him to do that, and more than he'll ever know, you know. So he's a really cool dude, and I still see him every once in a while. He's a busy guy, but he really loves his Supra, probably more so, ways more so than his R35. He always has. So he also inspired me to do twin turbo, basically put the 2J in my R32 and do a hybrid twin turbo kit because he had a hybrid twin turbo kit on his Supra, and he held the highest horsepower record for twins basically on a Supra. It was like 650 for twin turbos. So I looked into that and I did some research and I was able to get kind of a local company that was a really good turbo company that builds turbos to do a hybrid twin turbo in my 2J. So it was like very sleeper esque. You couldn't like even if you pop the hood, they look like stock turbos, but they had bigger hot sides and turbines and everything in them. So that was fun. They told me they'd never do it again and never tell anybody where it got done because it was such a disaster, and they misquoted me, and I held them to the quote because they gave me a quote, and then I said, "No, this is what you sent me for a quote," and they said, "Oh no, that was per turbo," and I was like, "Nope, it's not what you guys said. It's not happening." So they ended up honoring their quote, and they were like, "Don't ever tell anybody about this. Like who did it, because we're never doing this again. It was such a disaster." But it ripped. It was like, stock 2J from Japan, just with some twin turbos, standalone, and it was like 400 wheels without even tweaking barely anything, just 12 psi. So yeah, I think I have a video of that. I'll post it up on a dyno run on my Dotson Diecast Instagram, because it just sounded. There's nothing like a what we call a BPU Supra, like basic parts upgrades. It sounds so good. Then you get into 1,000 horsepower and 2,000, those crazy numbers. It sounds totally different. Same with the GTR. GTRs pretty much all sound the same unless they get over to like the 1,000 horsepower mark, then they sound different. It's really bizarre. But no matter what exhaust you put on them, it's like it sounds similar. So Static Crispy, yes, we're live. He's like, "Are we live?"
Yeah, no, I've got 2 stories kind of like that. My first story that's kinda like your GTR, your buddy that let you drive his car. We were in a port call in Singapore, and we were staying at a hotel, and I walked outside, and there was this beautiful DB10 Aston Martin sitting behind this roped off area, and I walked over and I'm looking around it, and I hear a voice come behind me, and he's like, "Hey, you can get a little closer." And it was the owner of the car staying at the hotel. But not only was he the owner of the car, he's the owner of the hotel. So we saw the bell guy kind of watching us. I don't know. He was really ninja watching us, making sure we weren't getting too close to the owner's car.
He's gonna
And
ninja chop you.
yeah, he was gonna ninja chop me. And the owner came over and he moved the ropes and he's like, "Well, do you wanna drive it?" And
You're like,
you
"What?
know, I was
What?"
like, "I've never been in a car like this in my life." So yeah, similar story. I got to get in there. I got to start it up. He let us drive it around the block and bring it back, and it was an amazing experience. And as much as I love JDM, I will tell you, if I ever get a chance to get my hands on an Aston Martin, that's definitely going to be one. And then my second story happened while I was in Japan. We went to the Mugen factory in
Mm,
Yokohama, and we were looking around. They have a kind of a smaller museum that's set up in Mugen where you can go and see the history of Mugen and where they got started. And for those that are not, JDM savvy, Mugen is the racing development department for Honda. They do all of the, high end racing parts that you see on even the Honda racing cars. But we were taking a tour around, and we kept hearing the rev, and you know what I'm talking about, the sound of that turbocharged motor that's revving. And so we walked
Yeah,
outside, and they had
definitely.
they had the Mugen NSX sitting out there, and they were doing different diagnostic tests on it. And we were walked out, and I was like a kid in a candy store looking at this beautiful car. And the engineer that was out there had the driver, and the driver said, "Hey, we're going to take it out on the track. Do you want to go?" So I got to hop in to the other side of that Mugen NSX, and I had, I probably the most amazing feeling I've ever had being in that car. I wish I could have driven it. That would have been
Yeah.
even better, but it was absolutely amazing. Him flying around that test track in that car and just feeling the power of that car. And yeah, so I know what you mean. It's that sheer adrenaline, that absolute exhilaration of being in a car that's capable of that much horsepower, but it feels like it's that much in control.
Yeah, no, it's once you get into those turbocharged cars, those are a lot of fun. I was and same with supercharged too, because some people go that route, and especially with the NSX, they have supercharger kits for them. And now they've got supercharger kits for like ISFs and LC 500, which is one of my favorite cars, working for Lexus. But I'll never forget like a couple. I mean, I've definitely been in some pretty fast cars and some pretty wild rides. But one of the best things that I've experienced, like, riding with somebody is my buddy, and he's got a, R32 four-door, pro drift car, and it had at that time, he went back to the, RB, but at that time, he had a Titan engine out of a truck, and it was supercharged, and it was 700 wheel, and, he I was doing media at the time. I've done photography most of my life, and I was doing a lot of media at that time at the drift track, and that's how I met him. But he's up in Canada. He comes down every once in a while, but he's a friendly Canadian, so that all you Canadians in here, Mark. So he said, "Yeah, let's go for a ride. I'll take you out on the track." And there's a big bank going in there. You can just the starting bank is really long. So he got up to be, I mean, about 90 miles an hour sideways. That thing was just nasty, just that rah, 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 and just like and the throttle was so and then the whine and everything. So but yeah, just all of a sudden you're 90 degrees, like 90 miles an hour down the speedway, like this big, like probably I don't know how long it is, eighth of a mile or something. And then all of a sudden he like drops gears, and then you're going the opposite direction, just and then you're just like the G forces, you're just ripped this other way, you're looking that direction. And yeah, a lot of people would have like thrown up or been scared. I wasn't scared at all. I was just like smile from ear to ear, just grinning and just laughing and just recording at the same time and trying not to like move around too much, but it's pretty impossible. But yeah, I have some footage from that too, that ride that I can share because it's just it was really incredible. I'd love to go in a pro drift car again, like even faster than that. Like let's go. I'd also like to go around the Nürburgring with a pro driver too. It'd be nice to go around by yourself, but I'd love to go with a pro driver that's ripping on it. That's like in like a GT3 RS or Skyline or GTR. That would be a dream of mine to go around the track there. So yeah, it's just like it's nice when you can do those nice things for people that really love cars, that are passionate about cars. You can I've done that in my GTR several times, handful of times. Um with people that one guy was kind of talking trash on it. Like he was, we were in a parking lot. I was going just to return a red box. I pulled up in the GTR, get out, and he's like, hey, buddy. Nas loves that. Hey, buddy. And and I was like, yeah. He's like, you want to race for pinks? And I was like, what is this, a movie? Like, I was like, no. I was like, "What?" And he's like, I got a 69 Camaro Pro Street. No, no, no. And he's like talking. And I'm like, no, sorry, man. Like, I just went and kept walking over the red box to return my red box. And I come back and um, he's like, come on, man. He's like, don't chicken out on me or whatever. And then I hear this from the car over there. His like girlfriend's over there, and she's like, "Hey, come here." And I was like, okay. I like walked over there. She's like, what is he saying? He's like, he wants to race me in his Camaro. She's like, that's my Camaro. That's my car. He's like, you're not racing my car. And so and she's like, oh, I love that car. She's like, beautiful. And I was like, you guys want to ride? And she said, yeah, absolutely. So I stuck him in the back because it's just like super crowded back there. So I jammed him in the back and I put her in the front seat. And then we went and hit the back roads. And I won't say too much, but yeah, I scared him pretty bad, especially him because he's in the back seat and he took everything he said back. He's just like, man, this thing gets down. He's like, man, thank you so much for giving us a ride. Sorry if I was being obnoxious, but sometimes even when people are being obnoxious or weird and stuff, I mean, as long as people aren't being like weird about, the GTR. I mean, I've had R32, 33, and 35. Um, as long as they're being nice and like, there's like, hey, can I sit in your car or can I get a ride? But if you're weird about it, like I have people come into if I'm in the store, like a grocery store, and it's like, hey, who owns a GTR out in the parking lot? Like, and you're just like, really? I just slide out the back door. I just kind of like inch out, like go around the building, like, yeah, just like go out, like, I'm good. Because like it's always like, guys, and it's like age ranges from, 20 to like 40 years old, and of like that are so gung ho. But just be cool, man. Just like if you ask me to see the car, sit in the car, I'll take you for a spin. Just be cool about it. Don't be weird. People are doing that stuff on the highway too. They're cutting you off. They're going slow. They're like pacing you. They're just harassing you basically. And the same has gone for all of my cars. It just doesn't happen in my Datsun 510 though. It doesn't happen. It's such a classy, nice little car that people give me a thumbs up. It's just different. It's totally different from those both of those cars. People are really cool with the Datsun 510. They're like, "Oh, I love that car." They're like, they just like it's a cute little car. I mean, it's the only car that I'd ever say that. Like, I'll allow people to say that's a cute car,
Yeah, no,
but
my one of my best buddies who's also my neighbor is obsessed with the 510, and he's convinced he's gonna have a 510 someday. He's still in the Navy, but yeah, if you come to Southern California, it's daily on the freeway. It's a track meet. So it's, everybody's gotta show their bravado and show how quick they can be. And I was like that, late 90s, early 2000s here in SoCal. It was the big import scene down here. So you really had a lot of you really had a lot of people that were able to tune their cars for not a lot of money, but really put a lot into them. And so, I had my fair share of revs on the freeways and pacing and getting cars going. Especially when I had my 22B. I don't know what it is. I think when you drive a Subaru, people immediately assume that you're ready to race, and I'm sure it's very similar with the GTR. Um, but I've had my share of tickets. I had one.
me too.
I had one with the fam in the car, and that was no fun. But it's part of that machismo. You're behind so much power, and man, but I'll tell you, I really do enjoy, seeing what you're doing with that 510. I really do. I like that it's still very classic. I commented to you, I had seats very similar to that in
Oh yeah,
in my
yeah.
S14.
Recaros.
Yeah, just like that. So it was I had a moment of nostalgia there when I was looking at your interior because it took me back to when I was in Japan, and I could smell and see and feel, and it was so awesome. So it's things like that that I really appreciate, and I'm glad you post pics up like that. It's great.
Yeah, yeah, no, I love that little car. It's really hard for me to decide whether I'd like keep the GTR or the 510 if somebody says, "What do you love more?" I'm like, I can't make that decision. It's like they're both different cars. The GTR is a rocket ship. It's much newer. It's got a lot of technology on it. It's still pretty raw for what it is. Um, with the shifting, I mean, everybody's like, "Oh, you have to have a stick. Oh, it's a paddle shift." It's like, well, it's a dual clutch. It is a clutch. But you don't have to engage it. That's the only difference because If you're racing somebody down the track, every time they're shifting, you're hopping a car or two in front of them, because it's so quick. But the Datsun is very raw and very sketchy. It has a Subaru turbo rear diff. I think it's I'm forgetting. I'm having a brain fart, but it's basically like similar to the STI rear diff, and it's got custom driveline. It's got big brakes on it. It's got all these things that you really can't even see, which is cool, because it's like you see that car. I like to keep my cars really clean. I'm all about clean. Like I don't like anything gaudy, or I don't want street glow or anything like that. I don't even like a lot of aftermarket headlights or taillights because they don't look good. So, and then my engine bays are always got to be clean and classy too. Right now, it's basically just black and some red in there. I've got an anodized red um, intercooler on the GTR and some blow off valves that are black. I like everything to match, just kind of a two tone thing. And I've got to finish doing the Nismo kit on it too: side skirts, rear bumper, and wing. And basically, I'm gonna call it a day on that car for quite some time.
Yeah,
But
no, I think you've
yeah,
got it. I think you've got it where it needs to be. I think that's what you expect to see on that 510 is you want that classy silhouette. You really want to just see it coming down the road looking like it was 1972, and you're cruising down that
yeah,
boulevard, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So I think you're going the right direction with it. I'm absolutely in awe of it every time you show it off. So I'm with you like that. When I was building my cars, I didn't do a lot of sticker kits or real gaudy wings or anything like that. The last true JDM car that I owned was the DC5, the RSX, and
oh yeah.
it was very clean and very simple. And everything was inspired to make the car faster, not stand out. And that was the last thing I wanted for it to stand out. So I definitely know where you're going. I know what you mean by that. And hey, it looks great to me. So I think you're doing exactly what needs to be done with that 510.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like my job to do a good job with like there's so little of those cars now, especially in good shape. That I don't want to ruin the car. I just wanted to make it like really stock looking. Like even the intercooler's tucked. You can't really see the big bricks because of the two piece or the three piece wheels that are on there, Epsilons. The Epsilons are 7.5 or 8 in the front, and I think 8.5 in the rear. And I've got a mini tub and fender flares on the car, so that's pretty wide for a Datsun 510. My goal, and it's going to change things too because I'm going to be one of the first people to do it, but so are my Datsun homies. A buddy's working on a rear end that'll fit like 10, 11-inch wheels on there. So it's a custom rear end. I think it's like a 4 link or something. You can adjust everything every which way. And I need some meat back there. So I'm excited for him to. It's going to be a couple years until he's done with it. But he also did. I have rack and pinion steering in the car too, which not a lot of people have in those old cars. So I don't have power steering. I don't want that. I've got rack and pinion. So you can hook a power steering pump up, but I don't want that really like easy feel. I still have that like much easier feel. I don't have the slop either, so I can feel all the bumps in the road and I can feel everything. So which is something I love. I got the Nardi steering wheel. Like all those little things really mean a lot to me. Like I had to have Nardi, so I got rid of the other steering wheel. I had to have a Nardi one, and I had to have Recaros. So I found some Recaros from a Porsche guy that was local, and they were beat. They were beat up. They were in rough shape. The pads were still pretty good, but he sold them for pretty cheap. He actually restores like beautiful Porsches. Like 911s. He's done martini livery on them, and he takes them down to frame and builds them up, all metalwork, everything like that. So it was cool meeting him and actually like going to his house and seeing some of the Porsches he had there. And he was like, "I love these little 510s because I drove my 510." And I said, "Hey, what would it? Would you do you work on anything else?" He's like, "Not really." He's like, "But I'd work on that thing." So we talked about maybe fixing some rust issues that I have. But with those Recaros, I love those Recaros. They're the most comfortable seats that I've ever sat in. They're deep and they're cushy. And then so I found on like I think it was out of like Indonesia or something. There's a guy that did restitching for it, and then I requested red stitching and a diamond plate pattern on there because I just love that so much. Like that's so old school to me and beautiful. And so once I got that the leather and I had a local upholstery place that I use put it together. And I just man, I put those things in the car. It really set it off. It felt right. So,
Yeah,
but
I
yeah.
know you could probably attest to this, Mark, and then people that have not built cars, especially JDM cars, they don't understand all the little nuances and all the little things that you put into them that really make that car your car.
Mhm.
I know I was obsessed, and everything had to be a JDM part. Everything had to be imported from Japan, and I had to have the exact everything, from the engine bay to the interior to my suspension. Um, my drivetrain had to be completely JDM. And so, it's a labor of love inside of these cars that not, somebody who's not been under the hood or doesn't understand this, what we put into these. And so when I look at yours and I see the level of detail that's in there, it's an expression of you in that car. And I know when my son and I build ours, it's going to be two people now, two people's expression and extension of themselves in this car. And it's going to be a little of my know-how, and it's going to be a lot of my son really putting his fingerprints on this car and making it the way he wants, because that's how it should be. These cars are very individual to us. We really feel a connection to them, and I think that that comes across on a really clean build. So when I see yours, or I've seen a couple of the other creators on here that have JDM cars, you can see that level of detail that's it's put into their cars, and I see an extension of them. So I'm appreciative. I'm a fanboy. It doesn't matter how many cars I've owned or cars I will own. I love to see them, and so I'm really glad that we get a glimpse into your life sometimes and get to see some of the things you're doing, and bridging the conversation. Um, I'm also taking a lot of your tips. We are now obsessed with your auto peak detailing that you're doing, because it is how I like to clean my cars. My wife gets really frustrated when I'm at the car wash because, she's like, "Run it through, vacuum it, we're good to go." And
You're like, "No!"
I want to I'm back in the days when I'm, Q-tipping inside the car to get
Mhm.
every inch of dust out of there. And so I take a lot of the things that you're doing, and I try to do that. I definitely don't have the tools you have to do that, and I think that's probably down the road what I'm going to do. But I definitely appreciate that, and so it's great. I get my diecast fix with you. I get my car fix with you, and now I get my detailing fix with you. So it's a one stop shop with Thoughts of Man Diecast. I love it.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I think a lot of because you're a car person, so a lot of people that love their cars love cleaning their cars too, or washing it by hand, and seeing, oh, this is a new imperfection. Oh, this needs to be buffed out. Like just taking pride in something that you own, because well, for a lot of people, they in different countries, they'll never own a car in their life. So we take for granted that we've got some pretty cool cars here. We have the opportunity to have cars and cool cars at that, not just like little Kia, Sorrentos, or nothing wrong with those, but they're just transportation. Some of those cars, and some people just see cars as transportation. But for you and I and a lot of other people in this chat, we don't see cars as just transportation. It's the fuel, the oil runs in our blood. It's just the smell of race gas, the sound of engines. When you're a car guy and somebody ripping past and you hear a blow off valve or something just nasty sound, and you're just about your neck's about broken when you're a car guy because you're always paying attention to that stuff and you're trying to figure out what it was and you're running out to the street to see see, see what it is. So but yeah, the auto detailing for me is really cool because I get to take somebody's car that they really I there's nothing more important to me than taking someone that loves their car and it's a nice car. They bring it to me and they say, "Hey, make this thing new again. Like make this thing beautiful." And for me, it's like artwork too. It's like if you're customizing Hot Wheels, that's artwork. There's a lot of things that's like artwork because there's not a lot of people that can do that kind of stuff anymore. They don't put the effort into it. So, Kimber is my right hand woman. She does the interior work, most of it, and she's a clean freak, and she's a savage. She just really gets in there and cleans really good. But I do a lot of the exterior stuff. But yeah, it for me, it's just, like, so cool. It's like, taking a car that's, like, nasty, and you're taking a clay bar to it, and you're taking all the contaminants out of the paint, like, pulling it out, not scratching it, and then by the time you give it back, it's just so smooth and polished and protected, and someone's just like, "I don't even recognize this thing." It's so cool to be a part of that, and it's a good feeling to be able to help people in that way. Not everybody has the money to put into their cars like that, but I would like to, as you guys know, I like to do charity type of stuff. I've got the Hot Wheels for Hope page, so I would like to do some charity stuff with my auto detailing as well, and either do like a raffle for a free detail for somebody, or give somebody that really could use a detail in their car, um, help with that, and just do a free one or something like that. Maybe a family that's um, traveling back and forth to Seattle Children's Hospital and their car's kind of a mess or whatever. If we can do one of those every once in a while and clean their car for them, no charge, so that they could just have something clean. Or it's not. I'm just thinking. I'm just like thinking out loud of things that we can do to help people while we're detailing cars. It's not all about money too. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, you're kind of that inspiration. The whole reason why I really wanted to jump into the YouTube community was it was my first real interaction with anybody was Jason over at Mustang Hunter,
mhm.
and you and Nas were kind of the second, but it had nothing to do with our personal interactions. It was the things that I was hearing you guys talking about, and I joke about it all the time. But you are my ride time music in the morning sometimes with the podcast, and it's because I'm listening to the the personal, the stuff that's coming out that you're talking about, that is it's about family, it's about community, it's about investing your time into people, not to things. And
Right.
so I really do appreciate that aspect of this community. I was in the GI Joe community for a long time, and it was pretty much a community of all about me, all about what I could accumulate, all about the price points, and what was your collection valued at, and how can I get the next best thing. And you come over to this community, with diecast, and it's about, how can I help you out, what can I do for you, how can I explain this to you, what do you need, you know
Yeah.
and I really do appreciate the embrace that I've gotten from a lot of people, not just from you, but there's been a lot of people.
Oh man,
And
there's so many good people.
yeah,
Yeah.
man, and I just really feel like it's a community that's more about the people, and it's not about the things in this community. And so it's where I'm really finding joy. And it's like I've mentioned probably hundreds of times in my videos. People probably get tired of hearing it, but my sons are very much involved in this,
Mhm.
and this gives me a chance to spend time with them. We have a connection, and they never had that with me. The GI Joe was an 80s toy. It's not something they could connect with, but Hot Wheels has bridged that test of time. So I'm really, really uh, proud and honored to be a part of this community. And you know I fanboy a lot, and it doesn't matter how long I'm going to be on here. I'm always going to appreciate the people that are in this community more than these little cars. So I do thank you for the things that you say and you do. And by
Yeah, no
doing some of
problem.
those things, I'm just absolutely in awe.
Well, yeah, thanks, man. It's like it's not, it's just not all about us in this community. It's about each other and helping people out, because we're all just people that collect Hot Wheels, that love cars and love Hot Wheels. Oh, and by the way, before I get off, we had Mustang Hunter in here, so shout out to he's just popping in real quick. Thanks for coming by, Jason. Appreciate it, man. So yeah, it's not it's that's the last thing it's about, is like, you know, just cars and stuff, because you never want to define yourself on money or things or possessions. It's like what's your character like? And that's how I, find my friends and people that I want to be close with and build relationships with. It's what's their character. I don't care what kind of car they drive, or what kind of house they have, or they've got money. I don't care about any of that stuff. And I think if we all care a little bit less about what people think of you and like what you can get from somebody else and stop doing things as a transaction. Like, what do you have that I need? Okay, we can be friends. You have what I need. So it's about building relationships with people like me and like Nas and I. Like typically Nas isn't like first when I found his page, he loves Datsun, so of course I love that. But when I first watched Nas's page, I don't swear that much, and he was just like dropping like just like left and right, and I was still like, and he just gave me money. Thanks, Nas. But with Nas, I was drawn to Nas because he's so real, and he just says what he thinks, and there's no BS with Nas. So I love Nas because he's. I think more people. I love what he does with his new podcast, his walking podcast. um People need to be more vulnerable and tell, and if you're somebody that has a lot of fans or followers, just kind of tell people like what you're dealing with. And sometimes things are personal, you don't need to talk about it. But when it comes to like certain things, talk about like mental health and talk about like those kind of like topics, like how are you guys doing, like really, and this is how I'm doing. It's important, so I love what Nas does on his channel. And Nas says I totally cut down on the potty mouth. Yeah, no, I definitely noticed that, but he tries to speak his mind. So yeah, it's important that more people are like Nas, and say what you mean. you know, there's a lot of fake people out there, and I can't deal with it. I don't surround myself with people that they just can't say what they mean, and that aren't genuine people. And there's a lot of genuine good people in the Hot Wheel community, that aren't here for any kind of personal gain or drama. I mean, a lot of people still love that kind of stuff when there's something posted up. This person did that, ripped off this other person. And people get like, "Oh, what?" But I try to stay away from all that, like, completely. It's like, because it's not like edifying, it's not conducive to anything to gossip about people, or can you believe what this guy said? He offered me $2 for this car and it's worth 50. Like, can you believe this guy? It's like, don't worry about it, man. Just move on.
Yeah,
So,
man. I
thank you,
and I
man.
mean this with all sincerity. Whenever I'm filming, the reason I put my little wall up is I tell people, if you see something on my wall that you want, I'm going to send it to you. I don't have any attachment to the things that are things. If it's going to look better on your collection, or it's something you've been looking for, or I was fortunate enough to find it, yeah, I'm going to send it to you, and I'm not going to expect you to send me anything back in return. Um, Nas and I have this uh, back and forth going right now. We had a debacle on a trade where I sent him the wrong vehicle, and now it's like, well, I'm going to send you this. No, I'm going to send you this. Well, I'm going to send you 20 more. Well, I'll send you 40 more. And so we really we get it. We understand that these things are, they come and go, and there's not, I'm looking at my stuff right now, there's not one thing in here other than the things that I'm getting from the personal things. They go into a
Yeah,
separate area, and it's a small area, but those are the things that, to me, they're not a car anymore. An extension, like I said, with building the cars, an extension of that person. So when I get a custom from Nas, or I got a car from the Mustang Hunter, or if I get a slip of paper in your thing and it has something personal, those are the things that matter to me. But everything else, if you see it and you're like, that's got to be mine, it's probably going to be, because they don't have value unless I say so, and so they don't have value. And but if they have value to you, now they have value and they're coming to you. So
yeah.
um, I don't know if that's a dangerous thing I'm saying right now, but it is like
It
that.
can
And
it can be. Yeah. But you got people out there like Mark that just donated some money. Thank you so much, Mark. He sent me that a firebox just like of heat, just crazy like kind like they've got the car right there. It's Peter. It's like a BRE one, and it's amazing. And those things go for like 400 bucks plus. And he just like sends it to me. He's like, "That's not what I paid for it." He's like, "I paid, $6 or 14 bucks or whatever for it, and now it's yours because I know you appreciate it like I will, and I've got a couple of them." And he sent me some other supers and a bunch of other stuff, and I sent off one or two of the supers that he sent me to people that I know that would appreciate it. I know I sent the Honda Civic, the little what EG, I think it's EG or EK, I can't remember. What's the older one? EK, EG,
EF.
Patch. I think it's EG. So yeah, I sent that to somebody. Who did I send that to? I think it was No Way Dude Hunt or something. I sent it to him because he was like, "Man, I would kill for that thing." Like, and I was like, "Don't kill anybody, man. I'll send it to you. Don't kill anybody." And yeah, so Mustang Hunter and Static say EF, and Kimber says EG. So yeah, sorry guys, it's if Kimber says it's EG, it's EG. Um, so yeah, it's I sent that off to him because you just got to share the love of what you have, and it feels so much better to give than receive. It's nice to get to receive, especially I will never discredit like getting things from people because it's amazing, especially Michael, yeah, the Grady one, especially customs. I love customs. So when people send me customs, I really cherish them. Just like I've got them scattered all over the place. But you got Nas's little bone shaker, and I've got a whole case over there of customs, and I go over to them and just kind of look at them sometimes and admire them and remember who made them for me and what it took to make that. They set time away from their busy life to make something for you. They've never met you. It's crazy. It's crazy to me. It's really cool. It's so much. I would much rather have like a custom where someone puts a lot of time into it than a super treasure hunt, um, or a convention car or whatever. Because those are gonna come and go, but you're not like the stuff from people that like they put like 4 or 5 hours into something for you. It's crazy. There's nothing cooler than that to me. So I'm loving seeing this kind of stuff where people just send each other stuff. It's cool too if you do commissions, and you charge people some things. Sometimes, you need to get paid for your time, but it's also really meaningful to send people stuff that you not charging anything for. And that comes down to cars too. Cars that you pick up. I'm trying to be better about picking up cars for people. It gets a little overwhelming sometimes if people are like, "I need this, I need that," and but I just kind of keep track of what people are looking for. Um, Kind of just put a little feeler out there like, "Hey, what are you looking for?" Like, um, that I can get you. Like, if I see it, I'll pick it up for you. I think Mustang Hunter is probably one of the best people at doing that. He's very open to that, and it's tough sometimes to like grab stuff for everybody. But I think Jason does a really good job at grabbing cars for people that need cars. He keeps his eye out and grabs stuff. So
Yeah, for
very
sure.
cool.
And Nas too. Nas will
Yeah,
he gets deep into your videos when he watches, and I mean,
yeah,
he's not just hearing you, he's listening. And so you'll be surprised. You'll mention something in passing like, "Yeah, I've really been trying to find this or that and it's perplexed me," but and then you'll open a box and there it is because he's very in tune with that, and Jason does that too. And I don't know how many of you guys have gotten a box from Jason, but it'll be like, "Hey, I'm going to send you these three things," and then you get UPS shows up with 9 boxes, and he's like, "Yeah, I threw a couple of extra things in for you that I thought you might like," and before you know it, you have a self-made collection from the Mustang Hunter. So
yeah.
it's really awesome. And so I've been trying to do the same thing too. I really listen to what you guys are saying, and if you even drop a little tidbit or a hint, I'm gonna be on it, and I'm gonna do what I can. I'm tracking down a couple of things for Nas right now because he's that dude. He's that
Mhm.
dude for me right now. So I'm on a mission for Nas, and he knows what's up. I know that
And
he's
he's like,
busy
"Don't
right
send me
now.
anything."
Yeah, he's very busy right now. If you guys don't know, it's hard to fly a fighter jet and you know, work on
Yeah,
cars. So
yeah,
he's very busy
he's
these
taking the
days.
Russians out up in the sky. He won't tell anybody that, but we know. Nas. We know Nas. You're the dude. That's him. He's I can just see him too with his beard and I'm just yeah, that's Nas. He's at it. But yeah, yeah, it's awesome. And when it comes down to since we're talking, we're talking about that. When it comes down to supporting your friends and your friends online and everything. Just everybody keep Nas and Nas's families in your prayers right now, and everyone over there in the Ukraine because it's sickening what's happening over there. It makes me sick, um, and you kind of feel helpless because there's not a ton you can do. But for me, I'm just praying every day for Nas, his family, his friends, and everyone over there in the Ukraine that's just being attacked unprovoked. It's totally just a dictator that wants that land, wants to rebuild the USSR, and he's willing to do whatever it takes and just killing anybody that gets in his way. So yeah, so just keep Nas in your prayers and your thoughts too. I mean, more so prayers and thoughts, but yeah, just continue to support him. And I know he's busy, so if he doesn't post anything, or if he does, just give Nas the support he needs. Because man, I can't imagine having family over there. Because it's totally crazy. It's totally crazy. I'm trying to stay up on it, and I encourage everyone to stay up on what's happening over there, and not just like say, yeah, yeah, I hope Ukraine's okay. Just stay up on it, and see, what you can do and talk about it. But yeah, just people don't talk about that kind of stuff anymore, and it's not all about Hot Wheels. It's like we said, it's about the people behind the cars. And it comes to the same thing with the real size one-to-one cars. It's the people behind the cars. I don't care about the cars that much. I mean, of course they're cool, but I mean, we all share the common passion for cars and diecast, and we need to help each other however we can. Um, and it's a crazy time right now. It's wild, and I really hope that it doesn't go much further, and that there's some other countries, including the U.S., stand up for Ukraine. It does. You don't have to have ties to that country. It's just what's happening is crazy. So yeah, Brandon says, "Stay woke, people." Yeah,
Yeah, I'll echo that. And Jason can attest to this too.
yeah,
It's very difficult to have family in areas that are being affected, like in the Ukraine. But also keep in mind, you probably got friends or family in the military, and
yeah. I do.
it's a real thing right now for the people that are serving in the military too. Right now, I'm sure that even if it's small little innuendos or tidbits, they're being put on alert and they're being addressed right now, saying, "Hey, we're staying out of it, but there's a chance." And so I worry so much about the people that are not military in Ukraine that are going to have to be swept up in this, and that just simply want to live their lives and be people, and um, because that's home for them.
Hmm.
It's not a piece of land or a territory that they should have to defend in this way. And so I really feel for them. I spent 22 years active service,
Thank you.
defending freedom and democracy around the world. And my personal opinion is that's what we should be doing right now, is trying to help those people the best that we can. So yeah, Nas, if you're still listening, man, you know, I I really want you to know that um, we're always thinking about you and the family that you have, and the friends that you may still have in the Ukraine, and we're here to support you in any way we can.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, just know, Nas, that if you need any help from any of us, and everyone, just be careful about what you say and joke about and everything too. I see a lot of memes and stuff on the internet, jokes about what's happening. There's always going to be that, There's just people are so desensitized now. Just be careful what you say. If you watch Nas's last video where he kind of talks about what's going on, make sure you're saying uh, Kiev, right? Not not the other way around, because that's the Russian way to say it. I think it was Kiev. Um, and yeah, just stand with Ukraine right now. They need everybody to stand with them because they're just being brutally attacked by a huge country. Um, and yeah, it's crazy. So that's definitely been on my mind lately, and I know it's been on Nas has really been struggling with that. So we need to just keep him in our prayers, and because he needs it more than ever, and just put yourself in his position. It's crazy to know that, like, if you were in a different country and the US was being attacked and overridden by a bigger country, it's crazy to think about. And there's nothing, they didn't do anything. They don't deserve this. No one does. So yeah, that's our thoughts on what's going on over there. But yeah, back to just the community and diecast. It's really nice. Like, we've talked about, and it's coming up in our podcast, the diecast breakdown. The topic will be downsizing. It'll be a talk about, like, when's, like, what's too much. Like, are you okay? Like, are you good? Are you Because we've all been there. Let's be real. Like, it's a hobby, and you have all these other guys that are telling you, buy more, buy this, yes, cool. Like, you got all these people cheering you on to buy more stuff, but are like, you got to really keep it healthy, right? You have to, like, find a healthy balance of not going out there and buying everything up. I've chilled on main lines because you can get so carried away with main lines. But if you're gonna downsize, maybe you can send some stuff to people who need things, that are just starting a collection, that are trying to grow their collection. Because there's people out there that have thousands and thousands of cars, and that's fine too. Just as long as you're being responsible for yourself, your family, your friends, and not spending like money that you don't have. You know, putting things on credit cards, and because it can be an addiction just like anything else.
Yeah, it's
So
funny. In the GI Joe world, we called it plastic crack, and so I guess that's kind of
yeah.
what it is in the diecast world. Is it's diecast crack, and people we came in kind of hot and heavy too, where it was, hey, everything new coming out, grab this, grab that. And luckily, I have a very sensible wife that is she kind of reins us in, and she said, hey, you don't have to have everything. Why don't you find a central focus? And you guys, I know you enjoy this, but if you walk into my son's rooms, it's like a mini toy store, and that's on me a lot too because you start sharing this passion, and before you know it, it's a wave of nostalgia, and all of these things come over you, and you're just rushing in to grab whatever you can. So we kind of have learned early on that it's more about the quality and not the quantity, and going after those things that you really desire to have. But also, like you said, if you have those extra cars and you know that it's not something that you're really attached to, but somebody else is, send them their way, get them started, let them have a chance to really enjoy those things. And I think that's what we're really trying to focus on doing, is putting our best foot forward in this community, doing for others, and allowing other people to enjoy it as much as we are, without having an entire garage full of bins that are stacked full of cars that we look at once every 70 months or so. So yeah, I feel it. And I'm looking forward to your upcoming podcast with those guys. I kind of want to hear what your perspective is.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because we, like, when we have this podcast, we always kind of we always gonna have to be careful about what we say because of the guests we're gonna have on, but at the same time, no, because it's like we can talk about things, like, because we're gonna have some people on that have crazy collections, that have thousands and thousands of cars. But I'm not gonna skirt away from talking about the fact that, are you collecting, like in a healthy manner? Like, are you causing detriment to yourself and your family or your marriage or whatever? I think that's a big thing. I mean, um, and you have people around you to help you, especially in the diecast community, because we've all kind of been there where we've gotten in modes where we just buy way too many cars and spend a ton of money. And I kind of did some of that during, like, lockdown, like, during my furlough. I mean, I had all the time in the world, but I didn't have all the money in the world, and I was buying a lot of things I shouldn't have been buying, with the lack of money that was coming in. because you got so used to spending all that money routinely on diecast, and then you kind of don't have money anymore because you're just getting paid by the week, by the your unemployment or whatever for the time, for I think it was 4 months for me. But yeah, you're still bringing diecast in and everything, and you're like, I don't have the money for this. I need to chill. I need to stop. And that's a good opportunity um, to modify cars or to do other things. Appreciate what you have, chill out, don't buy cars for a while. So yeah, I think we've all been there. I think we can all agree on that. There, where you kind of get in modes where you're just like buy, buy, buy. You're just hunting every single day, spending tons of money on gas and going to 100 different stores. It needs to chill. You need to chill sometimes, and I haven't been doing much hunting lately like I normally have for the last couple of years. And it feels good, and it especially feels good like I was talking about recently with David at Twice Diecast. Um Going into a store, finding some cool Hot Wheels, but nothing you have to have, and walking out of the store without anything in your hands. That's a good feeling too, because that's where that's like there's that pull, like where you feel obligated to walk out with something. I think we've all felt that, where you go to the Hot Wheel aisle and there's some cool cars there, and you feel like you have to take something with you. You don't. You really don't. So I mean, maybe take something with you that someone else needs. Focus on that first. Think about what Nas is looking for. Think about what Shane's looking for. Jason, before yourself, and maybe walk out with something for somebody else and not yourself. And it feels nice. I mean, especially not walk out with anything. You're like, there was nothing that I had to have. So it's a good feeling. I recently did that, and it's it's rare. So, but it's gonna be less rare lately. I'm trying to just cut back on buying diecast, basically.
Yeah,
That's
Jason
my
will tell
schedule.
you I probably annoy him because I get more excited looking for things for other people. So I'll be at a random spot and I'll start shooting him pictures in a text, and sometimes he's probably like, I don't even know what you're sending me right now, but I love that feeling of I heard you mention it, or you're looking for this, or you've really been, coveting this, and I come across it and I get really excited and I want to share it and say, "Hey, here it is. I found it. I found it." And it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling for me. I like that. I think that's why I don't know how it is for you, Mark, but like Christmas time for me, my excitement comes from seeing other people opening gifts. I feel
Oh
weird when
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
opening gifts, so I love that feeling of watching people do it. So when I send something to somebody, it's a feeling that's different than when you're like, oh, I have these things, and I'm going to look at them, and I feel in the moment it's that moment, but that other feeling goes a little bit longer. So yeah, I definitely love that. Hey, I think Nas needs that. Hey, I think Skip at Skip's Diecast needs that. Hey, I think Mark's going to want this 510 again. So I really
Yeah.
love that feeling.
Yeah, I think everybody should do it. I think the more that you give, the more that you receive too, whether it be a material item or not. You receive friendship with somebody, and of course, like I don't expect anything from anyone. I don't feel I don't ever want people to feel obligated to send me things. But I do appreciate when they send me things a lot, especially custom cars. And I have to be careful what I say sometimes too, because when I say I haven't found the BRE 510 pack, and people are like, oh, I'll send you one today. I'm like, no, I have some. I have like 3 that other people have already sent me, like David at Twice Diecast, and then there's a couple other people that sent me the 5 packs, and or the 2 packs, but, I haven't found them. My joy is finding them. Of course, I love that I have them now, and I cherish them, and I took one of them out already. I took them out of the package because I had to see what they look like. They're basically just I already have those cars, right? They're just in a 2 pack, but I still had to take some out. But I want to find them. I'm still looking for those little buggers, man. I mean, Target. I mean, I'm going there and I'm looking. And they're here. Somebody grabbed them though. There says two beer. It says 2 packs up there, and I'm like, "Ugh," you know. But I'll find them one of these days. If I never do, whatever. It's not the end of the world. I have them. A couple people have sent me those, but yeah, I'm gonna send one of them out to somebody that needs it. I'm not gonna say who, but um, yeah, I'm always willing to send if I have extra stuff, send it to people because I know how much it's gonna mean to them too. They're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, I got these." And do I need 3 sets of them? No, I don't need that many. But I've got I it's sometimes I enjoy hoarding things when I have the money and the time and everything because then I can send the things out later when they mean more. Like I have a stack of BRE haulers, the transporters, and I send those out every once in a while. I think I just sent one off to. We're gonna send one off to Yogi at the Jakarta Diecast. I sent him a hauler, the BRE. I really hope he does something cool with that. Like, I mean, I don't care if he doesn't, but I sent him some cool stuff, and hopefully, yeah, everybody will see. He'll post something about it. If he doesn't, that's fine. I never expect anybody to post stuff, but
Yeah. Yeah,
but he's a
anybody
good
that's
dude.
yeah, no, he is, and oh, man, that is, like, the upper echelon of customization right there, watching his stuff. My obsession right now, I don't know if you picked up on it, is I don't chase supers, I'm chasing Ryo Asadas right now. I'm doing my little homage
Yeah,
wall
that's
to
cool.
him, and he was by far my favorite casting designer at Mattel, and it was a big loss. We
Yeah.
just got into the community when he passed, and
Mm,
it was tough because looking back at all of some of, well, I'd say 90% of my JDM castings that I own are his and
mm,
June's, and so I wanted to do that as kind of an homage to him this year, to
mhm,
have a spot in my collection that is for him. It'll stay there, and it's going to be all of the reused rides for this year. So that's my super treasure hunt for the year. Is I'm going after them, and yeah, they're not as hard to find as a super, obviously. And I'm not telling anybody, please don't send me Ryu Asadas. That's not what I'm saying. I like finding them, and that's part of the chase. But it is absolutely a mission of mine, as kind of like, hey, I'm gonna remember who this guy was, what he did for this community, what he
mhm.
was all about. And he's from Japan. It makes it even better. His family still post up every once in a while some things, pictures of him as a kid. It's so cool, and it was a living person that was a part of this community and was
Yeah.
passionate like we are. He was a collector just as much as he was a designer. So it's important for me to do that for him. And hopefully I'll get through it this year. And if I don't, I will eventually.
Well, yeah, let me know, if there's some that are, evading you, and I can see if I have them. Like the you got the so he's got some exclusives too, I think. I know he's got the Kroger exclusive, the white NSX. I don't know if you have that one. There's the red NSX, and then there's a white one too. But that's not from this year. It's just from I think that's from a couple years ago. But yeah, there's a lot of cars. Once you start looking at the list of things that he's created, it's a big list. And we plan on getting one of my main goals this year is to get June on the show, on the podcast. That's a main goal of mine. We had Brendan Vituski on there. He worked with June. He's like on the same team. Funny stories about like he talked about the Gotta Go. I think it was the that he made the little toilet, and he was talking about he was on June was the lead of the team, the design team on that project, and they wanted him to come up with some kind of fantasy thing, and he came up with that, and June walks over, he's like, "Ha ha!" Like, just like, "Yes, we're doing it!" Like, and I've watched some of his live streams on Instagram and stuff. Just seems like a pretty cool, down to earth dude. So, um, if I can get him on the show, that would be amazing because he's probably my favorite between, you know, I don't have a favorite, but of course I kind of do because the 510s, right? And June is the 510 guy. Like he made the first 510 basic car. That's what's probably one of my favorite diecasts of all time is the 102 blue 510. It's a basic $1 car, but to me, it's my super treasure hunt, just like I love that thing. And then at the same era, you had the super treasure hunt wagon. I wish I was collecting back then. I probably was a little bit. I'm just grabbing cars here and there, but I wasn't collecting then. I wish I could have found that car in the wild, the Datsun Super Treasure Hunt. Like Nas was saying earlier in the live stream, they're going for $400 to $600 now, depending on the condition, or if it's signed, it could be up $700. I have a signed June Mai Super Treasure Hunt that I will not be sending someone if they ask for it. That's my that's mine. I've got a couple that I just don't want to. I mean, I'll give a lot of cars away, but there's a couple that I just don't want to part with. I mean, that and my pink RLC one that's up there, the 510. That thing, those are going for like $400 now, and it's crazy. It's not. It was like $40 when it came out, maybe not even that, and now it's $400. But I don't care about any of that stuff. What the crappy part about all that those prices are is that I can't. It's hard for me to get more. There's still cars that I need. Um, I need the Japanese convention, five to the moon eyes ones. If I don't find them, that's cool because I got Hewitt's ones right up here on the shelf. Those are customs. Those mean so much to me. Those are like some of my favorite cars in my entire collection. Is Hewitt's did a bang up job on those. They look so good. They're probably better than the real ones. I guarantee it because they have one of them has a NOS bottle in it. And it has like all this crazy detail inside of it. So the convention cars don't have that. So yeah. So but there's some cars that I need to like because I basically right now I want to downsize my collection and collect more 510s because my goal is to have every 510 ever made through Hot Wheels or Matchbox, basically. And I'm not gonna get at that point. Maybe I'll start getting into all the M2s and all the different cars that are out there, and I have those already. But I'm not gonna like just go for all those first. I really want to get all the Hot Wheels ones first, and I've got plenty of M2 stuff. There's certain things I like. There's a lot of them that I pass up, but certain ones I can't pass up, like this little Moon Eyes 510 and this Hako. Um, I couldn't pass those up. And you can. It's cool. It's cool about M2 is I hate the wheels. I think a lot of us do not like the wheels, and but I do like the fact that they open up and that you can. I I bought this with one car, and you could put another car on it. You could take one out of a package and put another car on it. But yeah, if they had a little bit cooler wheels, these things would be perfect. but but the wheels are, I mean, they're trying to run it to the true scale. They're trying to make these like 1/64th like to the max. Um and even the hood opens like correctly and everything. So and it has decent detail in there. But yeah, I like M2 as well, but I'm definitely a Hot Wheels guy when it comes to that. But yeah, I collect various muscle machines and stuff like that for 510s too. I like to branch out. David at Twice Diecast got me into getting. I haven't bought too much yet, but I have bought a couple. But he got me into like mini GT. You've got this GTR here. I'm like, wow, the detail on that's crazy. And then you've got Miho. The Miho. So these, I mean, I plan on buying some more of these cars, but the detail on these things are amazing. And maybe if you chill a little bit buying the basic cars, spending $50 in 1 month, then you can buy one of these per month, and they're maybe only 25 or $30. So there's different avenues you can go down and collecting and not have it break you for buying too many main lines. um, because it's like, where does it end with the main lines? It's just they're producing so many main lines and different color variations. It's like I I can't buy these all, man. I gotta chill. I can't buy these all. I don't know how you feel about that, but yeah, it's just like the color variations and stuff like that. I kind of just I can't do that anymore.
I think I'm kind of going that way. I was at the big collectible warehouse store that we have here in Southern California, Frank and Son, recently, and a lot of emphasis there is it's starting to steer away from mainline Hot Wheel, more towards the Mini GT, the Tarmac Works. A lot of the Kaido House stuff that is coming out is starting to really be the focus. So, yeah. I I I had that in my
Sounds
hand
dang.
and set it back down. It wasn't in my budget that day, but
Yeah,
I definitely love the looks on those, and I think that's kind of what I would like to start doing is with a heavy JDM emphasis on it, start really putting that focus into some of those higher quality cars. Not to say that I won't still, come across a Hot Wheel here or there, but shifting that focus over to, like you pointed out, there's a budget to it. And if you can budget yourself to that and you go, hey, quality over quantity, you're
right.
really going to get some nice works coming out of these, especially from some of those newer companies that are really making innovative cars and really putting a lot into their castings and detail. And you do the dollar cost averaging, which I do. Um, in my video, I show that I buy a super, and I bought a super because I did the dollar cost average. What would it cost me to drive around town, spend gas, um, go elbow to elbow with scalpers, and things like that. And it dollar cost average to me, it was something that I was looking for, something that I wanted, and so I did. I don't do that typically, but
Yeah.
like you say, if I start dabbling into the mini GTs or the Kaido House or Tarmac, I know that I'm getting a quality piece, that my money's kind of invested in, and it's something that is going to make me, really be in awe as I see it. So, yeah, I like kind of that direction.
Yeah, I mean, I think buying these little mini GTs and some of these obscure cars, it's like there's so much more detail than you would get with a Super Treasure Hunt or some of the Hot Wheels premiums. So it's good to spend the money on those sometimes, and they go everything goes on sale. You can find things on sale. But I try not to buy into the hype of like limited quantity stuff or you have to buy now. It's like no, I'll buy when I'm ready. It's like everybody, of course, with marketing, you got to create a sense of urgency for people. Then you also have to make like the Cato House. They have the chase cars, which, gosh, I'll probably never have one of those because it's like, who knows what's going on with that? I don't know if there's inside jobs on that because it's easy enough to do. You get a box of it as a store. You're gonna go through the box first. I don't know. That all seems kind of fishy to me. So I'm not gonna buy into it. I'm gonna buy the regular ones, and if it has a chase in it, cool. But I'm not gonna like break my wallet or my back trying to search all over the place and find a chase car because it's like where does it end with that too? I mean, you have all kinds of different chase cars out there now, and if you find one, cool, it's a good feeling. But I'm not gonna go way out of my way to find a chase car necessarily because it's that hype, it's that rarity factor. Which I of course I like rare cars. I like rare cars in real life. That's why I have a 510. I drove 510s and dots and Z's before they were cool. Like now they're really cool. People like Hot Wheels made them really cool. Jay Leno, people like that own them now. But 15 years ago, 20 years ago, you ask most people, what's what a Datsun 510, they would ask you what is that, especially younger kids. But I really do like what's happening with the Hot Wheels. Is like it's the 510 and the gassers are probably the most popular cars in the world when it comes to like, you know, collectors and red lines and stuff like that, old cars. But nobody like nobody will pass up a 510, and that's why they're being scalped and that's why they're being, people are charging so much for them. But it's cool because people know what the real car is now. Like I have people see my 510 and they're like, "Oh, I have that Hot Wheel. Oh, I love those things." And it's for me that's cool because they have a great racing pedigree. I always talk about Peter Brock and BRE. Because I got the chance to just chat with him for like 40 minutes by my car one time. And it's just like have him oohing and awing over my car. It was it was very flattering because the guy's seen a million different 510s. Let's be real. Like he's seen so many Datsuns and he's just a down to earth, cool dude. And that's what's refreshing. That's why, man, I'd love to get Jay Leno on our podcast because he seems like a chill dude that's down to earth from the stories I've heard about him. Um, Fireball Tim Lawrence was on there. He was on the show and he was talking about um, how cool he was. He knows him. He's just a cool dude. He's the only one that doesn't know he's Jay Leno when he shows up to a car show. Everyone's like, "Oh, Jay Leno's here!" He's like, "What's up, guys?" So, yeah, so it's cool to be able to have people on the show that are just down to earth. Like, yeah, we've got some pretty big guests on. I'm not gonna tell you guys too much, but we've got one that we just lined up yesterday. That's one of the biggest Hot Wheel guys in the world. So he's gonna be on soon. So we're all we're all pretty excited about it. And but they're cool dudes. They're not like their noses aren't up in the clouds like a lot of people are when it comes to different avenues. I mean, it's just the diecast community as a whole. However far it goes, they're cool people. They're just willing to help each other out. We've got Tony and Carmen from Diecast Heroes, and those are two awesome people. They've hooked us up with some really cool people. And there's no gain for them. They just want to spread love in the car community because they're car people. Before anything, they're car people. They've risked it all to start a car magazine. They put themselves way out there. They were scraping by and doing everything on their own. There was no help. Didn't have any investors. You didn't see these guys on Shark Tank. Like, we need $100,000 to start this magazine. No, go out and get it. Go do it yourself. You know? So it's cool to see this kind of people and meet those kind of people. And I would love to meet them in person. But they're very inspiring because they're very like they don't have personal gain for everything. They're not asking anything from you, but it's really nice to I encourage everyone, if there's one person that hasn't heard this in here, encourage everyone to go and to Diecast Heroes. I believe it's diecastheroes.com and buy one of these magazines. They're so cool, especially if you're like, you know, the old days when you're on the toilet and you had to like you're reading the shampoo bottle or anything that was nearby because you didn't have a phone in your hand. Shane knows what I'm talking about. But yeah, you just sit there. If you sit in the sit in the bathroom without a phone nowadays, you're just like sitting there, like grabbing something. Like, huh, what is this? Like you just grab it. It's just like this little air spray bottle. I'm like, oh, this immediately move air. Flush eyes immediately with water. Okay, but this is perfect poop material, guys. Or if you're flying somewhere or you're in a waiting room, they're so cool. It's well put together. If you guys like the '90s and the pop culture scene, like I know Nas does, and I know you must too because of GI Joes, because they've got GI Joe stuff in here. I can probably pull up GI Joes pretty quick because they have like pages of just like pop culture stuff, and I'm sure there's GI Joes in here. Yeah, I mean, there's probably it shows you stuff you forgot about, like all this cool stuff here. There's that little monster truck. It's got the what was it called? It's got a Game Boy. It's got the A Team. It's got the pump up Reeboks. Like all the stuff you're like. It's got the Nokia with the Snakes game on it. The little cell phone that you couldn't break. You could break it and fall apart, but it go right back together. But stuff that you're just like, yeah, it's got Hot Wheels in here. Do you remember Orbits, like the drink that had the little balls in it?
Oh yeah, I remember those.
Like, did you forget about those completely? Like, it's like not even in your head anymore. But you see it in a magazine, and it's like it brings you back, man. It brings you back to that time. Garbage Pail Kids. I just sold some of those at a garage sale. I found them at a secondhand store. This guy was like, "Oh, give me these," and like he's like paid all the money. I had them for like $8 or something. He's like, "Oh yeah, deal." Garbage Pail Kids. I miss these things. But
Mark,
yeah.
going back to your big diecast podcast
Mhm.
with Diecast Media Network. I love the dichotomy how you guys will have Brandon Viteski one week and next week featuring Rapid Nismo,
Yeah.
and it's a reflection that, Chuck and David also realize that the community part of the community are just as big as, having Fireball Tim
Yeah.
or having Brandon on there or any of those things. So it's so cool. I I go back to that interview with Rapid all the time because I find little tidbits you guys talk about, and I throw zingers at him every once in a while from his podcast. But that's what makes it unique. Um, I'm glad you guys took it that way with the way you're doing it because
Mm,
it feels like a little family that
sure.
you guys are you're bringing in mom and dad every once in a while, but then the kids get to come in and have their say, and so it's very original and insightful. But there's a lot of things in there too that you guys talk about that are new. So I learn from some of the things you guys talk about, and it always gives me a perspective of looking at things from a different way, and just having those varying personalities on there really makes it unique.
Yeah, no, it's I appreciate that because the way that it started is I started a podcast on Spotify and just voice only, and I was having a lot of fun with that because I thought like my buddy does podcasts for recovery, for addiction recovery, and Kimber listens to podcasts like all the time, and I'm like I should do a diecast podcast because there was literally nothing out there. There was a toy podcast, and there was something called the Diecast podcast, but it was like Dungeons& and Dragons. They were talking about other diecasts, not diecast cars. So, I was like, "I gotta do this, but how do I talk about toy cars?" Everybody's so used to showing everything, right? You gotta show, "This is my diecast." But what about the people behind the diecast and talking about the community and, life lessons and just my day? I mean, and just talking about real life things. And I was like, "I need to do this. I just need to jump in there and do it, and stop talking about it." I think a lot of that, and I just want to encourage people. And now I'm getting messages and emails, from people to say, "You've really, helped me or encouraged me to do this," or "Now I'm doing this," and that's why I do it. And that's why we started the Diecast Breakdown, the Diecast Media Network, because we wanted to take a community that's there's so many good people, but everybody's got their own little channel, and everybody's and just to kind of mix it together and give shout outs to the people that are just starting, or the customizers that are doing really cool things that you've never heard of before. So it doesn't matter if you're big or you're small or you're just starting out. We just want to band it all together. And Chuck has that experience and know how it all works with the video production, and it's just it's an amazing thing to be a part of, and I'm honored to be a part of it. And we have a lot of fun, and it's a lot of work, um to put all this together. And huge shout out to Chuck and to David, because David's kind of taken on the role of getting, emailing people and getting them on board and setting, and then Kimber does scheduling. It's a full production thing that's only growing. So Kimber sets up the Google, calendar, and then we have to figure out our schedules, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work though, but we're willing to do it for people. I a lot of the time get on after a 12-hour day at work. I'll hop on the podcast and for an hour or two. And it's pretty tough sometimes, but I power through it, and they do too because they're in different time zones. We're like 2 to 3 hours difference from me, so sometimes they're on the podcast at like 9 or 10 at night. And when it's like 8, it's 8 or 7 or 8 here, it's later there. So yeah, so and then we've got Nas on the team now, which is very exciting. So he's gonna be helping with editing and whatever else we need, and to come on the show every once in a while, fill in for us. And he is excited to be a part of the show. When we were looking to find some more help with editing and Chuck, has got a heavy load. I was like, Nas, because he loves the show and he loves what we're doing, and he's awesome, and we all love Nas and his videos and his style that he has, because you won't find any other videos like Nas's out there on YouTube. You won't. You're not even close. You won't find another person like Nas, not even remotely. So and it's very refreshing, and to be friends with Nas in real life. I mean, we've never met, but he's a good friend of mine. and he's a person that you can be real with, and we can talk about cars or diecast or art or world problems or faith or YouTube on the what all the disasters on that sometimes. But yeah, it's a great community to be a part of. I truly appreciate all the people that are watching my videos, subscribing since the beginning. Like, I'm still a smaller channel, and I took my subscriber count off recently because I don't want people to come to my channel because I have 10,000 subscribers or whatever. I just want people to come to my channel, and if they like the content and they like what I'm doing, then subscribe. If you don't, then don't. I'm not going to force anybody to subscribe to my channel or be a member or to donate in the chat or whatever. But the people that want to be a part of the community, I'll accept you open arms, no matter what color you are. If you have disabilities, I don't care about any of that stuff because none of us really should. So yeah, so it doesn't really matter how many subs you have, and Nas will say that a lot too. Nas has a lot of subscribers, but um, I truly care about the ones that are active and engaged in charity things that we're doing, engaged in finding cars for other guys and girls, um, and just being themselves and being real. Because this is the internet, but like there's a lot of good you can do for other people on the internet, and you can meet up with these people. I guarantee you, I'm going to meet Nas in real life. It's a goal of mine. David at Twice Diecast and Chuck. And maybe I'll come visit you, Shane. So, I would like to be able to get to the point, like financially, maybe with my detailing or with a growing channel. Not so much to put money in the bank, but just to travel more. Like to go visit people and make videos about visiting people, and go hunting or go to the flea market with Nas and break some vases. So so yeah, it's not all about subscribers, but I definitely want to see Shane's channel grow because it deserves it. He started off with a bang. Um, he started off right. I can tell he wanted to do it right when he started posting videos. I think a lot of us, because I remember we got Bruce Zolo. He's not in here today, but I love Bruce. He's a perfectionist. So we talked about that on my podcast, where he's like, it's got to be perfect. I got to start it off. I got to get this right. And I'm like, no, I'm like, Bruce, just do it, man. Just it doesn't have to be perfect, but he did, and I want to see more from him. But I think he posted another one. But yeah, he's a part of some build offs and everything. And Bruce is a great guy. Honored to have him on my podcast too. And he's a supporter of mine. He has been since day one, and I love people like that. You know. So yeah, Nas says no more Nas talk. I'm blushing. My face is blood red.
That's because we all love you, Nas, and that's the truth about it. So
Yeah.
I just got the 2 minute warning from Mama. We got family day planned today.
Yeah. Cool, man.
But yeah, I'm honored that you hit me up this morning. I'm so glad we got to chit chat a little bit and get on
Yeah.
here and talk, man. But I hope we get to do this again in the future. And I was telling Nas we're gonna try to do one. Uh, it starts off with one beer, and we're going to see who gets the furthest beers in while we're talking about diecast, and maybe we'll fall into the screen and crash our heads or whatever. But um, yeah, it might be interesting. That might be the one you set not for kids to watch,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Don't want
definitely
kids.
it'll be chill. But Mark, thank you very very much for having me this morning, man. I appreciate it, and again, um, I'm sincere when I say that I do appreciate the things that you say, um,
Appreciate it.
Nas too. But a lot of these things that you guys talk about when it comes to life and family, I don't think you're ever too old to stop learning.
No.
And I definitely get a lot of those tidbits and those things you're dropping in, some of those gems that get dropped into the things you say, and I take them to heart and I apply them to my own life and my own family. So appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem, man. Same goes to you. I watch everybody's channels, and I appreciate the positive outlook that you have on everything. That's why I'm having you on today, because I'm like, and our love of JDM cars, of course, too. But you're just a down to earth dude that cares about people over things, and those are the kind of people I want to have on, my podcast. So appreciate you coming, man. It was an honor to have you on. So
Thank you, brother. And Nas, hang in there, man. I know you're still
yeah.
hanging into this podcast, man. We love you, bro. I already talked to you about what I'm looking for you. I'll keep you updated, man. We're gonna get you there. And I don't want to have to fight you in Nebraska anymore. If you guys don't know, we had to meet up in Nebraska. Nas brought some old medieval weapons. It was a little scary for me when I got out of the car, but we settled it, with real fisticuffs. It became a street fight, but in the end, everything went well. So
That's awesome. All right, buddy. You have a great weekend, and I'll have you on again soon if you're up
awesome.
for it.
Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend.
All right. Later, man. All right, guys. I'm going to go for another maybe 15 minutes on here, answer some questions, anything, because I'm sorry if I feel like or if you guys feel like I've been ignoring you, but I just talking to Shane is a pleasure. So yeah, I hope everyone's having a good weekend. I hope everyone enjoyed our conversation. Um, yeah, it's just good to have people on the show that is that are like minded and wanting to make the community a better place for sure. Nas says now that Shane's gone, we can talk behind his back. He could be still watching. Nas, you guys are gonna have to fight again. Caleb says, "Are you a RLC member? And if so, do you have any tips?" I am, but I've never bought a RLC car before. I've had some people buy them for me or gift them to me. Um, I probably will get that Datsun. A Datsun. What is that? Golf Datsun. I plan on getting that. That E30 that's coming out is pretty cool too. But the person to get the tips from would probably be David at Twice Diecast. He always seems to get the cars. My tip for you is to sign when you sign up is to get on the right browser. I think you can preload your credit card info, your debit card info, and when that drops, you can have it loaded in there and hit it and get it. So that would be my advice to you is just to like preload your information in there. You've got probably a 3 to 5 minute window to get cars, maybe more. I don't know. And then Mad Vision says use Wi-Fi if you can, helps out tremendously if you're trying to get in line for an RLC. Yeah, if you're doing it on your data on your phone or something, it could be very laggy. So you want to make sure you have a good internet connection. Go to Starbucks if you have to. They've got good internet. Yeah. Um, Osvaldo says, I saw that Zoom-ins are the newest top 5 ratings Hot Wheels of all time. I don't know if I believe you about that you saw that. I think you might have been seeing things. Caleb says he's on the countdown screen right now. Hit it and get it. Quote of the year. Yeah. So yeah, it's frustrating, but it's possible to get the cars. I'm not. I don't. I think only cars I really want to get are Datsuns that come out. So I'll probably regain. I'll probably keep my membership. I think it's like $10 a year to have the basic membership to be able to buy the cars, and then I think it's like $30 a year to get the free car that they send out. So yeah, Caleb says hope Wi-Fi wasn't working, so I'll try it again. Yeah, get onto Wi-Fi if you can. It's gonna help you. Chris Davis says find a 5G spot in a big city. Caleb says it's pretty fast, so he thinks he'll get it. So good luck. Good luck, man. Yeah, Liver Diecast setting up your workspace, so it's awesome to have workbench. Yeah, that's good to be able to work on things. Yes, sir. So I wanted to crack open a car here. Card's kind of messed up, so I kind of wanted to crack open this guy here, this Dodge Charger. We're gonna release it. Release the Kraken. So this thing's pretty cool. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So I let one breathe here. If Edward's in here, he's the master of letting it breathe. So yeah, this is pretty cool. This is something that I didn't really want to keep in the blister. I do like these like pre Spectraflame, you know. It's kind of a Spectraflame-ish, but it's a really sweet charger and I love the detail on it. And the wheels are cool too. I do like that it's got the white walls on it. Pretty good detail. This thing I could probably use to detail the back of it with some taillights and stuff like that. Maybe do a wheel swap on it, but realistically, I don't want to mess with this thing very much. It's pretty cool. And I think I'm gonna open this other one I've had for a while. It's I don't really like I want to free this thing here. This GTO. I need to free it because this thing looks super cool, and I can't get a good look at it when it's in this plastic case. So I gotta free it. I gotta free the piece. 99 Caravan. Yeah, sure. That's Mopar. For sure. All right. Let's crack it open without cutting myself. Cut away from yourself. I'm just going to destroy this box because I don't care. I don't care. Just look at it, sir. I just want to look at it. Just trying to look at it. Okay. See you later, Mad. Pia. All right, so. Ooh. Oh, yeah. This thing's sweet. Really nice paint. I like this top, this flat black top, and then we've got these little decals here. Cover my face. Ah! Very cool. I would probably like this thing if it had black interior a little bit better, but this thing's got some chunky wheels on it. Very, very weighty. This thing is very, very weighty. Caleb, I think you might be able to use Apple Car or Apple Pay. I don't know, I was gonna say Apple CarPlay. I don't know why. But I think you can. If anybody else knows whether you can use Apple Pay, chime in for RLC. Yeah, I freed it up, Ed. I do like the stance on this thing. Look at those wheels are sticking way out. I kind of like that. Let's see here. Does it have an opening hood? No, it does not. But yeah, this thing's super cool. I've been wanting to free this piece for a while. Chris Davis says you can, Caleb. I did Google Pay and Apple Pay before for RLC. So Chuck at Diecast Media Network says it uses Shopify, so anything that goes through will work. Yeah, the Hewitt's poke on the GTO. Come on, man! Look at the poke on this thing. I don't want those tires. I want them sticking out, man. Just want those beefy. I think rolls pretty good. So here's a couple of customs that I'm working on now. I just did a polished 510, a true polished 510 for Yogi that I sent them. If you guys saw the video, this is actually done with a paint pen, and I'm started to do these. This one's almost done. I just got to touch up a couple more spots, detail the headlights, and some other things, some markers, and I got to figure out what wheels I want to put on that thing. But that's very cool paint pen. And then I've got this one going too for a 510. That's also a paint pen. Pretty good for a paint pen. This is what it looks like non painted. That's just a fresh one. But that's another one I'm working on. And then I have I've got a Datsun two-door that's all stripped that I'm probably gonna do a chrome one with, and then I've got a McLaren F1 that I've got all stripped down and ready to go. So got some cool castings, metal base on that one. That's a premium. I love these types of metal bases here that have the lines in them. They're just weighty, super weighty. Look at it, sir. So I got some things. I got some projects. I hope you guys saw my Datsun Diecast 510. Got these decals, these water slides from WW replicas on Instagram. So I got these cool. I've got the new design and the old. He sent me both. He sent me the new design and the old design. Um, there's the old design, the Datsun Diecast, and then here's the new logo that my beautiful wife Kimber made from scratch. So yeah, I'm gonna go for probably just a few more minutes, guys. Oh, there's Jeff. So Jeff is the one that made these decals. So Jeff, tell him where you can find him if you're anywhere besides Instagram. But Jeff so kindly sent those to me, and this is awesome. And I think Nas knew him first, so I think Nas sent him my way or something, or he saw my name. My name's Jeff. My name is Jeff. The swiper. No swipey. Boots. Yeah, limited Datsun decals. So yeah. But yeah, check him out on Instagram, Jeff at WW Replicas, because these are sweet. These are good quality decals. These are better than the ones I buy off like eBay and stuff. They worked really well. I put them in water for like a short amount of time until they kind of change. They get a little soft, and then you pull those. Oh, pages on Facebook. Um, Jeff, go ahead and post um, your link to Facebook if you can on here, and I will put it up on the screen so that people can go check you out on Facebook. I'll have to check you out on Facebook because I just recently I'm not on Facebook much at all, but sometimes. Facebook. Yeah, so again, it was cool to have Shane on the show. Check his channel out, please. Mark, they're printed professionally. I can tell. They're very sharp, very detailed, and they are beautiful. Beautiful for Rapinismo. Yeah, I'm trying to really hard to quit Facebook. Unfortunately, I just started a business, so the only reason I'm on there is because of the business. Ghostbusters quick response unit says, "I know there are different processes to strip paint. What do you prefer?" I use Citrus Strip. I was using aircraft stripper, but it's really caustic and it stinks and it sucks when you get it on your hands and you gotta get it off. So I'll use Citrus Strip, and it just you have to leave it in there a little bit longer. I usually leave it the cars in there for a couple days just to make sure I get most everything off, and then I'll use a wire brush to kind of get a lot of the stuff off once I rinse it off. And then I'll use a Dremel tool right here with a wire brush on it to get a lot of the stuff off of it. And I also do have like a little Harbor Freight little buffer thing that I bought that wasn't very expensive. It was probably 30 or 40 bucks. Yeah, so the Citrus Strip is a good one because it's safe. It doesn't stink really bad at all. and it's pretty easy to use, and it's fairly inexpensive. So yeah, I would definitely use that one. It's my go. I didn't start out using that, but now I use it because it. I just was watching a lot of people's videos, and they just seem to prefer it. And I tried it and just left stuff in there for a little longer. If you're trying to do it really quick, aircraft stripper will do it really quick. But if you want to be safer, then definitely use Citrus Strip. Yeah. So like Chuck says, it's effective, but it's nasty. So yeah, you definitely quality wire brush. Cause loose bristles. So yeah, so you want to get a quality wire brush, not a cheap one at Harbor Freight. And the same goes, absolutely the same goes for the Dremel tool. Um, you got to buy the good ones. I believe this is like these here. You have to buy the good the Dremel tool brand ones. If you buy the wire brushes that are like from Harbor Freight, they'll fly off and hit you in the face left and right. Like every one of them will fly off in your face. So definitely doesn't. Then they're like $2 less. They're like $1 less to buy the cheap ones. So just spend the extra dollar 50 or whatever it is. It's just a couple bucks, and get the nice wire, like the wire brushes for a Dremel tool, because they will not fly off. They'll still fly off every once in a while, but you want to make sure you're using eye protection for sure, because you catch one of those in your eye and you can lose your vision. They stick right in your eye. So you definitely definitely have to use eye protection when using Dremel tools, for sure. So I'm gonna peace out to AC350 later, man. Thank you so much, everybody who came on here to watch Sean and I kind of just chit chat today. It's a pleasure having him on. I've been wanting to for a while. I dig his channel. Check out Super. Let me see here. Super JDM. It's Diecast. How do I pull this up here? Let's go to his page here real quick. Let's go over there. Let's do a share screen here. Share screen. Okay. Let's go over to YouTube, and I want to make sure you're all subscribed to Shane. At Super JDM Diecast. Okay, so we're here. So go over right now. He's got 192 subscribers. I'd love to see him be over 200 by the end of this stream. Super JDM Diecast. He is a good dude. You saw him on here today. He is he's like-minded like me. He's just looking out for people in the community. Big heart, as you heard him say. He's willing to give stuff away to people that love stuff more. But he's got some great content coming out. So check out Shane over at Super JDM Diecast here for me, please. Okay, so hope you all saw that. So thank you, Chris. Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it. Thank you, Nas. Great stream. It was great. It was good talking to Shane. So I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thank you, Paco. I appreciate it, buddy. Sorry, sorry, Nas. He doesn't like the word buddy, and I'm terrible at that too. Sometimes at work, I call people buddy, and I don't mean it like that. But it's just it's one of those things when you call people bud. Hey, bud. Like that's, to me, that's buddy to Nas. Like Nas doesn't. So don't ever call Nas buddy. He doesn't like it at all, not remotely. So don't do it. And don't call me bud. You can call me buddy. It doesn't really bother me that much, but don't call me bud. Bud, guy, pal, chief. So, okay, buddy. Oh man. So I hope you all have a blessed weekend. Thank you for everyone that just subscribed to Shane. I appreciate it. Let's get him a bigger community, chiefs, buddies, pals, and he's a great person to know. So I hope everybody has a great weekend. See you later, Sean. Thanks for coming. And we will see you in the next podcast. Peace, buddies. pals, chiefs.